Hello everyone and welcome to a new educational series I'm gonna be doing from now on. It's a pretty simple concept. We take a hero and we look at it from every single angle. How to play it, how to lane with it, how to fight with it, which items to buy, how to skill build. You watch, you listen, you learn. And then once we're done, we're gonna look at replays of mine or other pro players. Obviously, Dark Seer spells are pretty straightforward. While we're in the game, we'll talk about how to skill build. But the one thing I wanna talk about first is Dark Seer is an intelligence hero. He hits pretty hard, he has pretty good base damage, and he also has really hard, high attack speed with the quick wit. So essentially you want to buy a lot of stats on this hero. The design of Dark Seer is so that you're gonna be forced to take fights on the lane. Because in order to contest the creeps, you need to use your Iron Shell, you need to be close to the enemy, and therefore you do not want to be too greedy with items. When I talked about the Dark Seer stats, what I meant is that, as you can see, Dark Seer has 4 armor to start with, which is pretty good for an int hero. He has a lot of mana pool. In almost every Dark Seer lane, you're gonna end up fighting, which is why I would advocate for this starting item build. It used to be even better when Dark Seer was universal, but the reason why this item build is very good is because it gives you a lot of stats, +6, and it gives you a magic wand that you're gonna fill up over time on the lane. And once the fights are going to come, it will be very helpful. Because what you want to know about Dark Seer is that Dark Seer is a hero that really relies on getting level 3. It's a really important concept with Dark Seer. Why? Because as you can see, the damage per second, it scales really well. It starts off with 30 damage per second, which honestly is not enough for enemies to care. But once you get it to level 2, 50 damage per second on 2 heroes, yourself and your position 4. Obviously, here we're talking about playing Dark Seer position 3. And having 100 damage per second in the early game, in the laning phase, is just too much. And very few heroes can actually man up and take the fight. What we're going to keep in mind here when we play with Dark Seer is that we're going to keep the lane as stable as we can. And we're not gonna go for trades that are too difficult until we hit level 3. So essentially we're gonna dodge the lane and manipulate the creep waves so that once we hit level 3, we have enough HP and we have enough mana to actually fight the enemy. Because if by then you've died a couple times or you're completely starving in auto regen, most likely the lane is not going to be able to be won. You want to aim at the level 3 timing and you want to be healthy. How to do that? We're going to look at the laning phase and explain the decisions I make in order to end up in that position. But essentially remember, level 3 timing is very important. Do not take trades before that unless they're good for you. Do not try to kill. Wait for your level 3 and the situations are gonna create themselves. The other skill point that you're gonna take, obviously you go for Iron Shell level 1. In most cases, you have to double shell the first wave. And the reason for that is because you skill Iron Shell level 1, that's very normal. In some cases, you're gonna have to skill Surge on the level 2. That's a rather defensive way to go about it. It can also be offensive sometimes, but it's the safest choice. And in very few cases, you're gonna skill Vacuum level 2. And that is when you're either going for a kill on level 2 or you're going for a kill on level 3 with this skill build. In that sense, unless you have to skill Surge because you're getting attacked, I would suggest that you do not skill the second point until you hit level 3 and then you decide what you need the most. After that, what is very standard is to keep maxing Iron Shell, getting 1 level of Surge or Vacuum if you didn't, and then you max Iron Shell. But we're gonna dive into a replay right now. It'll be easier while we look at myself playing to understand basically what to do with Dark Seer and how. Here we go. Dark Seer in the laning phase. Let's talk a little bit about this game and my thinking process. So I'm playing Dark Seer. I am laning with a position 4 Slark, and I'm gonna be laning against a Templar Assassin and a Bane, 2 range heroes. There's a lot of items you can buy with Dark Seer. You can decide to go for the mana boots. If you go mana boots, it can be for 2 reasons. It can be because you're owning the lane and you really need mana to keep spamming Iron Shells off cooldown, because you're pressuring, you're diving all the time, and basically the only thing that's stopping you from killing the enemies is having enough mana. Or mana boots is also a decent build in order to just go farm the jungle and aggro camps with the mana boots. You have infinite mana, you're able to use Iron Shells in off cooldown basically. So you're gonna see this build pretty often. Another build that I like a lot is the Vanguard, and it's especially effective when they have low damage heroes or heroes that can't really kill you through Vanguard. In this case, against a Templar Assassin and a Bane, two heroes that are pretty heavy on physical damage and have pretty low nuke, Vanguard is a pretty good item. It also allows you to pressure when you want to, because it's going to allow you to cut the waves, and once you cut the wave, it becomes really easy to dive the tower with Dark Seer. Because enemies are tanking creeps, you can put an Iron Shell on the creeps, or you can just follow and stay close to your enemies while the creeps are tanking the towers. It's basically game dependent, but in this case, I decide in advance that I'm going to go for the Vanguard. Yeah, just because, as I've explained, two range heroes, I'm looking to dive them when I get strong enough. One thing that you can also consider is the allies that you have. You know, Storm Spirit, it's a hero that likes to rotate. Warlock and PA, these are two heroes that enjoy gating also. So if I'm strong on the bottom lane, they will probably look to connect to me. So as you can see, I do not want to take any trade. I do not engage the fights because, as I've told you, what's really important with Dark Seer is to get to your level 3 in a healthy way. Obviously, you want to get as much as you can, and you want to look at the game for what it is. If there is a good situation, I will go ahead and seize it. But only that. I instantly shell the first creep. The reason for that is because I want the creeps to push into the enemy. And once it's gonna push into the enemy, my plan is to help my Slark to cut the second wave. This is something you always want to do with Dark Seer. And essentially, if the lane is pushing hard enough, thanks to the Iron Shell that is going on the creep, then the enemy carry is going to be stuck under the tower dealing with your creeps. That means you're gonna create a 2 versus 1 situation. Me and my Slark are going to be behind the tower, and we're gonna fight the Bane together so that we are allowed to pull the second wave freely, because TA will be busy. This is basically why you Iron Shell the first wave with Dark Seer. It is really important to transition that into pulling the second wave, because if you don't, then it's just going to be cringe. You're just wasting mana for no reason. So now enemies are playing really aggressive on me. This is classic. They actually try to kill me level 1, which is something that can happen pretty often with Dark Seer. So I start juking right away. I shell my Slark because I know he's gonna be dealing a lot of damage on them. I end up doing a pretty nice juke here with the Iron Branch. Gives the first blood to the Slark. Slark gets level 2 because of it, and now the TA is in big trouble. So this is like an amazing start to the lane. We pull the second wave as planned. It's very nice. The small camp is blocked. That is something that's also quite important, because if you didn't block it, this wave would aggro the small camp, and we would be pretty sad. Obviously, this is a very good start to the lane, but it doesn't change anything to how to play the lane in the bigger picture. I want to hold the creeps here and quietly last it and deny. The beauty of Dark Seer Innate is that I'm not gonna need to get too much regen, as I'm gonna regen, you know, through my Innate, and I can just wait until I get the Ring of Health. Very nice. You have really good last hit, really good denies on Dark Seer, so you take it easy. My Slark is trying to make sure that his job is to try to keep the small camp blocked. It's not very easy, but if he can do that, it is a dream. As you can see, I'm getting closer to level 3. This is amazing, and this Slark is playing really well because he's actually giving me all the experience that I need. I'm 1 creep away, so now it is really important that I do not engage in a fight. Even if Slark wanted to go here, I should refuse it, ping my level 3, get him to understand that now is the time. As soon as I get it, we can start being aggressive because we're basically way too strong. They cannot fight back. They have to run away. They're using spells. It's good. So, I want to talk about this situation now because this is a classic one with Dark Seer. As you can see, we got a pretty good trade and they're getting low. There is a creep wave and an extra creep that is coming. And what Dark Seer does is that he pushes waves extremely fast. So now I'm already understanding that we're going to be able to dive them. And you either are going to be able to dive them and kill them, or they're going to have to deal with many creeps under the tower and Iron Shells on the creeps, which especially for range heroes is really difficult to deal with. This is why I Iron Shell this creep, because I am preparing the push, basically. I do not want Slark to attack yet. I want him to be patient until the creeps are under the tower. I do not react to their pressure. I shelled my Slark now, and as you can see, we're auto-attacking the creeps, and now the situation is created. Now, they're gonna have to deal with 4 creeps going into their tower, and Iron Shells on us. We follow the creeps, nice bounce by the Slark, and here it starts. The damage over time from the ion shells. We have to do it slowly. We do not want to get aggroed by the tower, so we only attack them when we know they're gonna die. And I just, you know, stick with them. You can use the follow position if that is a hotkey that you have. As you can see, I'm not attacking to aggro tower. The TA dies. This guy dies too. And they're wasting the entire creep wave on their tower. I now have my Vanguard, and here I decide to go back to base because I want to heal all the way up, as mana is really important on Dark Seer. It is important to have stacks on Dark Seer. You can always ask your supports to stack. Now he's busy under the tower, but basically Dark Seer is a hero that can clear stacks very, very efficiently at any point in the game. So stacking is always cool. This is a moment of the game where, in my opinion, if you buy Vanguard, you're not gonna have enough mana to keep fighting, so you want to play on maximizing, basically. I want to play on really high net worth this game, so I do not want to trade too much. I want to focus on getting behind the tower, aggroing the enemy wave to neutral camp. This is something that Dark Seer is really good at, because obviously Iron Shell applies on all the targets that are close to you. So whenever you look to farm a lot with Dark Seer, always take the waves to a neutral camp, so you farm both at the same time. I want to get behind the tower. I do not want to dive here, as you can see. My Slark wants to dive, but I do not want to do it. I follow him, but this is not a play I'm very happy with. I would much rather maximize. We trade kills. It's okay. It's not the worst. But as you can see, I am out of mana again, and this is not a situation I'm happy with. I would have been much happier taking the wave and putting it on the neutral camp and keep maximizing. Once I get mana boots, I'm happy with these fights because I basically have enough mana to sustain them. This is classic. This is what I talk about. You get fat. Your innate will regen you. There you go. And ideally, I want to keep doing that. It is very cool if you can ask your support to plant an observer ward in the area once you got the Vanguard and once you're playing behind the tower. The one thing that you need to think of when this happens is the rotation of the enemy mid laner. So you need to keep track of it. One play that you have is to fight the position 5 with your position 4 if you want to, because the Bane could die. Or maximize, connect to the rune yourself if you have mana. That is something you can do in 30 seconds from now. And basically, again, keep track of the enemy, in this case the Quap, because this is the only hero that can stop me from doing what I'm doing right now. If you feel like they're focusing too much on your lane and you're not able to fight back, something that's pretty cool is to farm this camp, for instance. I could run here, check the rune on minute 6, and start stacking camps in my own triangle to keep maximizing, basically. Bane is sleeping me, trying to be annoying. It's okay, I'm pretty hard to kill. I keep aggroing the creep wave to the neutrals.
Dire's bottom tower is under attack.
I most likely will end up dying here.
Radiant's middle tower
We'll be close. Okay, I end up living. It is annoying what's happening here.
Middle tower is under attack.
But you know, Slug decided to check the rune. It's totally fine. You just have to adapt to what your support is doing. This is what I'm talking about. You clear stacks, you use Iron Shell to keep aggroing. And this is how you keep getting really fat on Dark Seer, basically. It's very easy to farm. When you have mana boots, you can basically just keep doing that. Level 7 is your big timing. Level 4 Iron Shell is just too much damage for any hero to deal with. So this is when you have mana boots and you have level 7, it is the first timing that you hit as Dark Seer to fight. This is when you should communicate and let your team know that, hey guys, I'm really strong. We should look to connect to my lane. In an ideal world, enemies your carry is able to get to gate. This is a pub game, so it might not happen. Your position 4 can look at you, and even your mid laner, because it is impossible for the enemy to fight me right now. This is why I'm playing aggressive and I'm actually pressuring the tower. I'm hoping for my team to come. My Warlock is coming. My PA isn't, unfortunately, and there's going to be a big fight there. It ends up being pretty good for us. I die. My team is a little bit slow, but anyways. So as you can see, that was it for the laning phase on Dark Seer. You know, I end up being top net worth. it's going to be a pretty good game. And it is based on what happened in the lane and not taking trades that you do not want to take. Very, very important. Play for your level 3, stay healthy until then, and then either play for pressure or play to maximize. Alright, so that is it for the video on how to play Dark Seer, how to lane with Dark Seer, and how to get better at the hero. I hope you enjoyed it. I hope it's going to help you improve and play better in your next games. You know, if you liked it, or if you're thinking about, you know, heroes you're interested in learning more about, especially on the offlane, drop a comment in this video. I'm reading them, and I'll make sure, you know, it's gonna give me inspiration for the next ones. And if you don't want to miss any of the other content that's coming out, there's a lot, and there's a lot more to come. Feel free to subscribe on the channel so that you don't miss it. Cheers.